Welcome to the Christian Crusades of medieval Europe. What if a single speech could ignite 2 centuries of war and reshape 3 continents? In November 1095, the medieval world was a powder keg. Western Europe was a fractured landscape of bickering lords, while the Byzantine Empire, the last vestige of Rome, was screaming for help. The Seljuk Turks had smashed the Byzantine army at the Battle of Manzikert, seizing Anatolia and threatening Constantinople itself. Emperor Alexios III Komnenos sent a desperate plea to the West, hoping for a few hundred mercenary knights. He got an apocalypse instead. Pope Urban II stood before a massive, shivering crowd in Clermont, France. He didn't just ask for soldiers, he reframed the conflict as a holy war. He painted a harrowing picture of Christian pilgrims being persecuted and holy sites desecrated. To those who marched, Urban made an explosive promise: the complete remission of all sins. The crowd erupted with a single deafening cry, "Deus vult, God wills it." The response was a chaotic surge of humanity. Before the professional knights could even sharpen their swords, the People's Crusade set off. Led by a charismatic, dirt-poor preacher named Peter the Hermit, thousands of peasants, women, and children marched toward Jerusalem with almost no supplies. Most were slaughtered by the Turks in Anatolia, their bones left to bleach in the sun as a warning. However, the main force, 60,000 professional soldiers led by titans like Godfrey of Bouillon, Raymond of Toulouse, and the cunning Bohemond of Taranto, was a different story. These men were the elite tanks of the Middle Ages. Their first true test was the Siege of Antioch, 1097 to 1098. For 8 months, the Crusaders starved outside the city walls, reduced to eating their own horses, and, according to some horrific accounts, even the dead. They were saved only by a secret deal Bohemond struck with a disgruntled tower guard. Once inside, they found what they believed to be the Holy Lance that pierced Christ's side. This religious fervor drove them to a miraculous victory against a massive relief army. On July 15, 1099, they reached the ultimate prize, Jerusalem. After a 5-week siege using massive wooden towers, they breached the walls. What followed remains one of history's darkest stains. The Crusaders waded through blood up to their ankles, massacring nearly every Muslim and Jewish inhabitant. They established the Kingdom of Jerusalem, turning the Levant into a colonial outpost of Europe. Holding the Crusader states was a nightmare. They were isolated Christian islands in a vast Muslim sea. In 1144, the fall of Edessa triggered the Second Crusade, led by King Louis VII of France and Emperor Conrad III of Germany. It was a logistical disaster. They failed to capture Damascus and retreated in disgrace, proving that the Crusaders were no longer invincible. The Muslim world, once fractured, finally found its champion, Salah ad-Din, known to the West as Saladin. A brilliant Kurdish general and Sultan of Egypt, Saladin was a master of asymmetrical warfare. He spent years uniting the warring Islamic factions of Syria and Egypt into a unified jihad. The turning point came on July 4, 1187, at the Battle of Hattin. Saladin lured the Crusader army, led by the incompetent King Guy of Lusignan, into a scorched, waterless volcanic plain. Dehydrated and blinded by the smoke of brushfires set by Saladin's men, the Christian knights were annihilated. Saladin personally executed the notorious Reynaud of Châtillon, a man who had spent years raiding Muslim pilgrim caravans. When Jerusalem surrendered months later, Saladin showed the world a different face of Islam. Instead of a massacre, he allowed the Christians to ransom their lives. His mercy and restraint stood in stark contrast to the brutality of 1099, earning him a reputation for chivalry that would last 1,000 years. Enjoying the video? Please support the channel by subscribing today. The fall of Jerusalem sent a shockwave through Europe, launching the Third Crusade, the Crusade of Kings. This was the blockbuster sequel, featuring three of history's most powerful rulers: Richard the Lionheart of England, Philip II of France, and Frederick Barbarossa of the Holy Roman Empire. Barbarossa, a veteran commander with a massive army, drowned in a river in Anatolia before even seeing a battle, causing his army to disintegrate. Philip and Richard, bitter rivals, arrived at the siege of Acre in 1191. They took the city, but Philip, sick and fed up with Richard's arrogance, sailed home, leaving the Lionheart to face Saladin alone. Richard was a military prodigy. At the Battle of Arsuf, he demonstrated incredible discipline. Despite being peppered by thousands of horse archer arrows, Richard's knights held their line until the perfect moment, then launched a thunderous heavy cavalry charge that shattered Saladin's ranks. While they fought like demons, a strange mutual respect grew between the two leaders. When Richard fell ill with a fever, Saladin sent him baskets of fresh fruit and mountain snow to cool him. When Richard's horse was killed in battle, Saladin sent him 2 Arabian stallions. Eventually, Richard realized he could never hold Jerusalem even if he captured it. In 1192, they signed the Treaty of Jaffa. Jerusalem remained under Muslim control, but Christian pilgrims were granted safe passage. Richard left the Holy Land, never to return. The 13th century saw the crusading ideal rot from within. The Fourth Crusade, 1204, was the ultimate tragedy. Strapped for cash and indebted to the Venetians, the Crusaders were diverted to attack Constantinople, the very Christian city they were originally supposed to protect. They sacked the Queen of Cities, melting down ancient statues and stealing holy relics. This betrayal shattered the Byzantine Empire and created a rift between Catholic and Orthodox Christians that has never truly healed. The Crusades grew increasingly desperate. The Children's Crusade of 1212 saw thousands of youth set out in a tragic purity mission. Most died of exposure or were sold into North African slavery. Later, Emperor Frederick II managed to regain Jerusalem for 15 years through a diplomatic treaty in 1229, an excommunicated crusade that the Pope actually hated because it didn't involve enough killing. But the tide had turned. The rise of the Mamluks, an elite class of slave soldiers in Egypt, signaled the end. One by one, the Crusader fortresses fell. On May 18, 1291, the final stronghold of Acre was breached. The last Templars and Hospitallers fought to the death in the ruins of the city. The Crusader era in the Levant was over. Militarily, the Crusades were a spectacular failure. Jerusalem remained in Muslim hands, and hundreds of thousands had died for temporary gains. Yet, the unintended consequences built the foundations of the modern world. The economic boom. The Crusades opened the gates to the East. Spices, silks, and luxury goods flooded into Europe, enriching Italian cities like Venice and fueling the rise of the merchant class that would eventually fund the Renaissance. The intellectual exchange. Europeans rediscovered ancient Greek texts preserved by Islamic scholars. Concepts in algebra, optics, and medicine flowed west, alongside the introduction of paper and Arabic numerals. The power shift. Thousands of nobles died or went bankrupt, allowing kings to centralize power. The military orders, like the Knights Templar, created the world's first international banking system. Today, the word crusade is still a loaded weapon. In the West, it's often used as a metaphor for a noble struggle. In the Middle East, it's a living memory of foreign aggression. These wars showed the darkest depths of religious extremism, the ease with which we can dehumanize the other in the name of God. But they also showed flashes of profound humanity, Saladin's mercy, Richard's chivalry, and the cultural bridge built through trade and translation. The Crusades remind us that history is never a simple story of good versus evil. As we navigate our own age of religious and cultural tension, the most important lesson from the dust of Jerusalem is this: when faith becomes a weapon, the casualties are always human. The questions born on those medieval battlefields still demand our answers today. Please have your say in the comments and subscribe for more.